Do you think you've seen wasteful construction projects? Well, get ready, because we've gathered the most ambitious yet useless mega projects from around the world that will leave you wondering what they were thinking. Behold the great failure of North Korea. The Rouge Hotel, a 330 meters tall concrete ghost that pierces the Pyongyang skyline as a warning monument to excessive ambition. This 105-story pyramid of disappointment consumed $750 million to become the tallest abandoned building in the world. Started in 1987, it remained a hollow concrete shell for 16 years, earning it the Hotel of Doom. In 2008, some Egyptian contractors covered its exterior, but the interior of 360,000 meters squared remains completely empty. But the most astonishing thing is that finishing this concrete catastrophe would cost $2 billion, which is equivalent to 5% of North Korea's entire GDP. Welcome to the island of Kojima, a once thriving coal mining metropolis turned into a ghost city of concrete. This tiny fortress, 480 meters long, housed 5,000 inhabitants, making it the most densely populated place on Earth. But when oil replaced coal in 1974, this industrial powerhouse became an instant relic. Now, its apocalyptic landscape of abandoned concrete apartments and rusted factories rots in the corrosive sea air. 20 kilometers off the coast of Nagasaki, the island's enormous dikes and multi-story buildings, which once symbolized Japan's rapid industrialization, are now nothing more than an eerie tourist attraction where visitors can only access 3 small observation platforms due to the constant risk of the structures collapsing. Imagine a Soviet-era ray machine that became obsolete even before it could fulfill its function. This colossal 1970s facility houses the world's largest Marx generator, which rises to 39.3 meters and can create artificial lightning extending 150 meters. The crown jewel of the complex, a huge test dome, spectacularly collapsed in 1985, even before it could be completed. Currently, this 3-megawatt transformer complex is practically inactive, with its enormous Tesla coils over 20 stories high serving as rusted monuments to Soviet scientific ambition. The facility was first utilized in 2014, which represented an investment of billions of rubles that literally disappeared. Imagine hundreds of identical Disney-style castles, forming the most surreal ghost town in the entire world. This $200 million nightmare near Modurnu, Turkey, consists of 732 medieval-inspired villas, each with an original price of $500,000. Initiated in 2014, this fantasy development was aimed at wealthy foreign buyers, especially from the Gulf countries. However, when the Turkish economy collapsed, the developer went bankrupt, leaving the identical corridor empty and abandoned. Despite its prime location near ancient thermal springs, this architectural fever dream now stands as a monument to excess, with its uniform Gothic towers and identical balconies stretching over 1 million square meters of forested land, once Birken. After all, the investors have completely abandoned the project, and without sufficient funds for its completion or demolition, it is likely that these castles will haunt the Turkish landscape for several decades. Witness Saudi Arabia's $1 trillion mirage in the desert, a 170 kilometers mirror-clad megacity that is pushing the boundaries of both engineering and credibility. This ambitious zero-carbon linear city is designed to house 9 billion people into 500 meters high parallel walls, promising a 20-minute end-to-end journey. But here's the catch. By 2030, only 4 kilometers will be completed. Meanwhile, construction hasn't stopped. The project has already faced criticism for displacing local tribes and threatening migratory bird rats. Even more disconcerting, they're trying to create an artificial environment in one of Earth's harshest deserts, raising serious questions about its sustainability and viability. This is the dream of a $100 billion eco-city in Malaysia that turned into a high-tech ghost town. Forest City was an ambitious project that encompassed 4 artificial islands, a surface area 4 times larger than Monaco. It was intended to be a futuristic paradise for 700,000 residents. Instead, it has become a cautionary tale about excessive ambition. Despite offering luxury apartments, a golf course, and various services, only 15% of the project has been completed, inhabited by a few hundred people. The unsettling emptiness of the development is amplified by its location, surrounded by crocodile-infested waters and isolated from major cities. Even the completed sections resemble the set of an abandoned movie, with a shopping mall full of closed stores. One children's train endlessly circling through empty streets. Here is the $4.3 billion Kuwait terminal leading to nowhere. This megastructure of 750,000 meters squared was designed to accommodate 25 million passengers a year, but it is very underutilized. Initiated in 2016, this colossus features 21 gates, 4 super jumbo aircraft under one roof with 90 prefabricated concrete columns, making it one of the largest single-package projects ever awarded to Turkish contractors abroad. Although its prestigious certification and solar panels demonstrate environmental ambitions, the enormous size of the terminal and its operating costs raise serious doubts about its viability. And most astonishingly, the facility's capacity far exceeds Kuwait's current passenger traffic, making it a paradigmatic example of overbuilding infrastructure. Let's look at the Forgotten Sea in the Soviet Union mountains, a $50 million hydroelectric dream that literally cracked under pressure. This ambitious project from 1979 aimed to create a reservoir of 200 million cubic meters high in the Carpathians, with a 50-megawatt power plant. Entire villages were relocated and enormous 750 meters tunnels were excavated through the mountains. But nature had other plans. A mountain landslide damaged the dam, and subsequent explosions during exploration work caused cracks throughout the structure. And when the Soviet Union collapsed, the world's highest reservoir was abandoned, leaving only concrete ghosts and empty tunnels. Venture into the most surreal capital in the world, Naypyidaw, a $4 billion capital built for no one. In 2005, the government of Myanmar mysteriously moved the capital from bustling Yangon to this ghost city of 4,800 kilometers square, 6 times larger than New York, but eerily empty. The city has 20-lane highways without traffic, hotels without guests, a zoo more populated than its neighborhoods. There are also large boulevards and palatial buildings that remain eerily empty, with street sweepers cleaning up after non-existent residents. Even government workers prefer to commute from Yangon, 320 kilometers away, rather than live in the Zomnik wasteland. But the absurd part is no one knows why it was built, with theories from paranoid military planning to astrological predictions. This is the Spanish monument to the 2008 financial crisis, the 198 meters in tempo skyscraper, which took 14 years to complete. This colossus of twin towers in Benidorm, valued at 90 million euros, became the tallest residential building in Europe. But at what cost? Construction started in 2007 and was to finish in 2009, but bankruptcies and ownership changes made it a symbol of the Spanish real estate bubble. Although it has the fastest elevator in Spain, 2 swimming pools, one of them on the 46th floor, the project has not yet turned a profit, despite selling 100 of its 256 luxury apartments, which cost up to 2 million euros. This architectural oddity stands as a towering reminder of the overly ambitious planning prior to the crisis. A $11 billion project aimed to revolutionize the German railway system, but instead it has been labeled as one of the biggest infrastructure disasters in Europe. Stuger 21 aims to replace the city's iconic above-ground train station with an elegant underground rail hub. But it's not that simple. Originally planned in 1994, it was supposed to be completed in 2019. Now delays push the completion to 2025, if we're lucky. The costs have skyrocketed from the initial estimate of $2.5 billion. Historic buildings have been demolished, and protests of 50,000 people have erupted over environmental destruction and tree felling. Worse still, some experts argue that the new station design is less efficient than the old one. A railway project that moves backward instead of forward. That's Stuttgart 21. The Kingdom Tower was intended to surpass the Burj Khalifa, rising 1,000 meters into the sky, but somehow it became a $1,500 million monument to ambition. Half-built. Started in 2013, this aspiring tallest building in the world has been stuck on its 63rd floor since 2017. And although it was initially expected to be completed in 2020, delays, financial crises, and corruption scandals left it half-built. Even when hope appeared in 2024 and construction resumed, experts say it may never reach the planned height, and there are no guarantees that this ultra-tall tower will ever be completed. Behold the $65 million pyramid scheme in Tennessee that turned into a fishing store. This 98-meter-high architectural oddity was inaugurated in 1991 as a sports stadium, but poor planning and structural problems forced the basketball team to abandon it after just 13 years. 4 years, the locals called it the Tomb of Doom, until a hunting and fishing megastore, Bass Pro Shop, transformed it into the world's strangest outdoor store. The most ridiculous thing is that this Egyptian-themed stadium in Memphis now features an indoor swamp, a bowling alley, and a hotel, making it perhaps the only pyramid in history that fails as a stadium but succeeds as a mega fishing store. Consider the €400 million Millau Viaduct in France, a beautiful record-breaking bridge that doesn't pay for itself. This engineering marvel rises to 170 meters above the Thar Valley, making it the tallest bridge in the world. Completed in 2004, this 2,460 meters long giant was supposed to solve the traffic problems between Paris and Spain. However, the toll of €15 and $40 has turned this architectural triumph into a luxury that few can afford. The extremely high toll rates cause travelers to choose longer and cheaper routes, leaving this bridge drastically underutilized. Instead of becoming a mandatory highway, it has become a scenic landmark, but avoiding road trips. Is it a failure of the Millau Viaduct? Not at all. It is a symbol of French engineering genius. One amazing spectacle, but for drivers, it's simply a bridge that's just too expensive to cross. Shocking. But this $14 billion artificial paradise turned into a sinking nightmare. The World Islands, an artificial archipelago of 300 islands, were intended to be a billionaire's playground, mimicking the entire map of the Earth off the coast of Dubai. But reality hit hard, and most are empty and eroding. Initiated in 2003, this project used 321 million cubic meters of sand to create a world map visible from space. But today, when most of the islands remain empty and are reportedly slowly sinking into the Persian Gulf, despite ambitious plans for luxury resorts and private estates, only a handful of islands have been sold and developed, making this world map resemble more a collection of abandoned sand castles. Here is the dream of an $8.5 billion submerged highway that barely surfaced. This ambitious project involved connecting the islands of Denmark with underwater tunnels that also served as artificial reefs. The main objective was a fluid passage for wildlife, reducing the highway's impact on nature. Despite the promises of a revolutionary eco-friendly design and reduced transportation disruptions, technical challenges and astronomical costs kept this vision firmly on the drawing board. But here's the most ironic part. The project aimed to protect marine life while requiring enormous underwater construction that would have disrupted the very ecosystems it intended to preserve. The dream of building this balance between nature and infrastructure has gone down the drain, proving that sometimes even the most ecological ideas fall short. Imagine entire cities fully built, ultra-modern, but completely empty. Welcome to China's ghost cities, where entire skyscrapers and highways remain deserted. The most infamous, like Ordos and the residential areas of Guangdong province, have enough vacant properties to house the entire population of France. These cities, built with skyscrapers, malls, and apartments for millions, remain mostly uninhabited. While 65 million Chinese homes are empty, developers keep building more. Why? Overinvestment, bad locations, one real estate crisis instead of new and vibrant megacities. China ended up with dozens of modern ruins or a monument to excessive urban planning. So, who needs apocalypse movies when you can visit an empty metropolis in real life? Elon Musk's dream train of 1200 kph was supposed to revolutionize travel, but instead, billions have been spent and there is no functioning system. The Hyperloop promised vacuum-sealed tubes, eliminating air resistance for supersonic speed trains. But here's the problem. Building hundreds of kilometers of vacuum tubes is incredibly expensive, and even a small crack could cause a catastrophic failure. Virgin Hyperloop spent $400 million before closing, and no country has built a large-scale operating system. Critics argue that traditional high-speed rail is already proven, while the Hyperloop remains a science fiction fantasy. It sounded great, but reality hits harder than a Hyperloop capsule at full speed. What do you think of the Russian network of $50 million wild bridges that wildlife won't use because of wild fauna? These ambitious animal crossings, initiated in 2016, aim to reduce road incidents and protect migratory animals. However, poor placement and unexpected visitors have turned these ecological overpasses into costly mistakes. Many of these bridges have been occupied by stray dogs, thus scaring away the very wildlife they were built to protect. And in some crossings, there are more human intruders than animals, so they are more pedestrian shortcuts than corridors for the same wildlife. Instead of building a dangerous serpentine, Chinese engineers created a 3-story loop highway that wrapped around Tianlong Mountain like a giant dragon. This 30 kilometers road, completed in 2019, tackles a 350 meters elevation change not with traditional curves, but with huge 3-story circular bridges, making mountain driving smoother and safer, avoiding steep and distressing descents. Although critics might label it as over-engineering, that $850 million project transformed a treacherous mountain pass into a marvel of engineering. So would you prefer to drive on this highway or stick with the thrill of a classic mountain pass? Take a look at another of Dubai's unrealized dreams, a $38 billion Nikhil Tower that never touched the sky. Also planned to surpass the Burj Khalifa as the tallest building in the world at 1,600 meters and later at 1,200 meters. This megastructure couldn't even escape its own foundation phase. Initiated in 2008, the project promised 156 elevators, one complex of 4 interconnected towers, but the financial crisis of 2009 dashed Dubai's greatest ambition. But the most ironic thing is that the tower was supposed to be the centerpiece of Pau Jumeirah, which even after relocating the site 3 times, still couldn't find its place in the shifting sands of Dubai. But not only have the mega projects failed in this archipelago, as the Pau Jumeirah Foundation itself is a failed project. As the largest artificial island in the world, a $12 billion palm-shaped monument is literally sinking into the sea. This enormous project required enough sand to build a 5 meters wall around the entire equator of the Earth. Although it added 60 kilometers of beach to Dubai, the island faces constant erosion that requires endless maintenance. And the most concerning thing is that summer temperatures reaching 50 degrees Celsius overwhelm the sewage system, creating unpleasant odors in this luxury paradise, while environmental experts warn of the destruction of marine ecosystems. Now let's visit Bangkok's most famous failure, a 49-story vertical monument to the 1997 Asian financial crisis. The unique Sader Tower, designed as a luxury apartment building with 600 units, is 80% complete but completely abandoned in the heart of Thailand's capital. While other stalled projects recovered, this concrete giant remained frozen in time, with a mix of financial ruin, legal issues, and eerie superstitions. Today, this $300 million concrete skeleton is a hotspot for urban explorers. Despite being officially off-limits, stories of ghost sightings and strange sounds on the 43rd floor only add to its mysticism. Local superstitions claim that the tower is cursed for casting its shadows over a nearby temple, ensuring it will never be completed. The most expensive Winter Olympics in history, $50 billion spent. And where is the return on investment? The Olympic venues of Sochi 2014 were built to impress the world, but today many lie abandoned. The enormous complex, which included the 40,000-seat stadium and the 12,000-seat ice dome, was built to showcase winter sports in a summer resort, but was then hardly used, and the enormous size of the structures required constant repairs. The Olympic Games were supposed to boost tourism, but instead, Sochi turned into a graveyard of unused infrastructure. Was it worth it? Welcome to China's $100 million answer to Disneyland, which never received a single guess. This 48-hectare theme park on the outskirts of Beijing was supposed to be the largest amusement park in Asia and generate $80 million annually. Construction stopped in 1998 due to land disputes and the Asian financial crisis, leaving behind an eerie collection of half-built castles and rusting structures. For 15 years, local farmers planted crops among the abandoned foundations until the entire place was finally demolished in 2013, making this wonderland a true fairy tale gone wrong. Marvel at the largest shopping mall in the world, which became the biggest retail ghost town. This $1,300 million Dong Mega Mall opened in 2005 with space for 2,350 stores spread over 892,000 meters squared, featuring replicas of Venice, Paris, and Egypt. Despite targeting wealthy buyers, it was built in a city of migrant workers who could not afford its luxuries. For over a decade, it has been 99% empty, and its interior canals have turned green, and its 17 zones have gathered dust. Even with recent claims of 91% occupancy and multiple renovations, many upper floors remain abandoned, so it's proof that bigger is not always better. The Walkie-Talkie building in London, which cost $270 million, became an accidental solar weapon when its concave glass facade focused sunlight into a 70 degrees Celsius beam. This architectural disaster melted Jaguar cars, deformed bicycle seats, and even allowed passers-by to fry eggs on the sidewalk. The 160 meters tower also creates dangerous downdrafts, strong enough to knock over pedestrians, which earned it the award for the worst building in Great Britain in 2015. Its $13 million umbrella fix could have been avoided if the designers hadn't removed the elements he intended to block the sun in order to cut costs. But it turns out that this is not a unique case, as Las Vegas faced similar problems with its Fedora Hotel of 57 class, where a curved glass design creates a focused death ray that embraces guests by the pool and raises the temperature by 11 degrees Celsius to their glass. After complaints about melted plastic and burnt hair, the luxury complex's solution was, embarrassingly, simply some giant blue umbrellas for the pool. Despite applying special coatings to its 3,000 glass panels, customers continue to report sunburns as they pass by years later. A 1,000 million euro airport sold for just 10,000 euros seems like a joke, right? But it's the Ciudad Real Airport, Spain's most expensive failure. Built in 2008, it was supposed to reduce congestion in Madrid and accommodate 5 million passengers a year. But there was a problem. It is 200 kilometers from Madrid and nobody wanted to use it. The airlines refused to operate there and the airport declared bankruptcy just 2 years later. For more than a decade it was empty and abandoned, attracting only one serious buyer. A Chinese company that offered 10,000 euros, which is less than a parking space in downtown Madrid. The issue is that a potential buyer would have to take on a debt of 300 million euros, which would turn this supposed transportation hub into the world's most expensive desolate ruin with a runway. Marvel at the $3.5 billion floating spaceport Sea Lounge, which ended up becoming System. This ambitious multinational project, launched in 1995, converted an oil platform into a mobile rocket launch platform, completing 32 successful launches before human cruelty sank its prospects. In 2014, the disruption of relations between the countries forced operations to stop, and in 2020, this marvel of engineering was in the cabin of Vladivostok. And here is the final nail in the coffin of the project. After the IS-7 group bought the platform, they discovered that replacing the rocket built in Ukraine would take years. This leaves the floating cosmodrome stranded in a bureaucratic limbo while the investigation into Sea Lamb's deaths and stolen shares consumes billions of rubles. After 30 years of construction, we can finally behold the Podilsko-Voskresensky Bridge in Ukraine, a megaproject that has become a symbol of infrastructure paralysis. Initiated in the 1980s, this 7.5 kilometers crossing was supposed to be the largest arch bridge in Europe and revolutionize Kiev's transportation system. Instead, it became a delayed $500 million mission. Although the bridge has 6 lanes and its access roads only have 4, which creates potential traffic jams even before cars reach the bridge. Even after 3 decades of construction, this bridge from nowhere to nowhere was finally open. Its full integration into the transportation network of Kiev remains incomplete. And that was our final stop on this tour. What useless projects do you have in your city? And can they surpass the ones you just saw? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more failed mega projects, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. See you in the next video.